Hey guys, this is V-Man from No Budget Productions, and today we're going to be doing a Constar commentary on the film The Last Word. So anyone that knows this film knows that we are going to witness something that's kind of historical in the Constar world, and it is the destruction of the Constar. This was something that had been alluded to for several films. Discussed several other films. We'd seen the end result, but we hadn't seen the actual destruction of it or what exactly led up to it. We had heard someone betrayed, but we didn't know who. Um, in the film Crying Wolf, we had heard about a betrayal, but we didn't know who. And this one, I felt that uh, it would be fun to see exactly who it was. Um, in the film Break Free, I had the character Ruiz there, and we kind of pick up some. We pick up some of his character arc, and then I forget which one it was, but it was a film with Adrel where he kind of gets left behind on a planet, and she rescues him against Menard's orders, something about the Prime Directive, and then here. And all of those were story arcs that had to do with him basically just getting pissed about Menard looking at him going, "You're kind of a fake dude." um, and then it kind of lashes out against Starfleet, and he joins the Maquis. And I really enjoyed this film for the story arc. I think that's one thing that the Constar series does is it gives all these characters wonderful, wonderful story arcs. Here's wonderful Leslie Sawyer. If you if you notice, you can't. Let me go back just a little bit. If you notice the shuttlecraft that she's in, and I love this. The shuttlecraft that she is in is uh, the Playmates shuttlecraft. Um, I love doing Easter eggs like that for people. Nobody really ever notices the shuttlecraft, but if you look, you'll notice that it is. I put her in the back of the Playmates shuttlecraft that was popular in the '90s, and I did that because I love. Uh, I loved that shuttlecraft, and I really didn't have anything that looked like an escape pod. So I was like, screw it, why not? But she did a wonderful job in this role, um, and she actually plays Commander Wright's or Lieutenant Wright's, Doctor Wright's mother here, and that's another character that we have a story arc with later on. Menard actually finds him and finds out that he was abandoned with his parents on the planet. The one thing that I love about the old sets that Royce and I did in my den was being able to put all the pictures up in the background. And this character right here is a Drell, and I believe this is the screen. This is the segment where Menard. Um, yeah, that was the segment. Yeah, that was the segment where he gets on to Drell about rescuing Ruiz from uh, the planet, and she's like, "What would you have me do?" I couldn't leave him there, and he was like, "That's exactly what you should have done." You basically violated the Prime Directive, uh, and it's a really good film because it's one of those things like there's more to duty than following orders. And Menard, it he holds her in such high regard, but at the same point, there are larger things that she doesn't see. So it's it's one of those things where she does remind him of the that there's more to command than just you know the regulations, and that's one thing where I loved I loved their story arc that they have when she first came into the series. uh she tells Menard, you kind of inspired me, by rescuing everybody at Wolf 359. You've kind of inspired me to be a Starfleet officer and whatnot. And they have a wonderful story arc. And by the time you get to the end of their story arc, uh, you know, he's the one that's needing her help for guidance. So the roles are very much reversed. But at this point, he's getting on to her because it's, they're both not right and not wrong. We don't know exactly the specifics, but the collateral damage is Ruiz. He's it must suck to hear you should have been left behind. We shouldn't have rescued you. That's got to really, it would piss off anybody to hear that, regardless of whether it's justified or not. And I left it that way intentionally. I didn't want to know the specifics. That wasn't important. What was important was, hey, we need, we shouldn't have rescued you. That was what was important, because it's just like with Spock in Star Trek Into Darkness, they shouldn't have rescued him. That was the, Pike was right. They shouldn't have rescued him. Kirk was wrong. And that, they still broke those regulations. And that was the point here. So she's not wrong, but she wasn't right. And that, to be the person who hears that and knows that, I wanted that to be his kind of deciding factor of like, man, fuck you, Menard. But Idrel was played by the wonderful Sally Seagraves, and they are a wonderful cosplayer, that non-binary cosplayer, that just a wonderful individual that graced us with 6 cameos, and was able to allow us to fulfill that arc. So we were very blessed. And here's the scene where, for the very first time, we, Michael Sylvester, and Michael Sylvester was always, anytime we had a suggestion or a role, he was always up to play anything. And I really had these scenes in my head. I never had anybody else in mind for the role of Dr. Chilcott. I know Michael had said that the character was never a fleshed out character, but it was never my intent to have Dr. Chilcott be a fleshed out character. He was always intended to be kind of the Dr. McCoy standing next to Captain Kirk on the bridge, as kind of that, I want to say moral guidance, but that's not accurate. To kind of be that backup, kind of voice on the shoulder type. And I feel like when you look at Michael, he's kind of that person to just kind of be that, hey, I'm kind of looking over everything, kind of make sure everything's okay, kind of be that voice of reason. He has that look, and I felt like he did that wonderfully. Michael Sylvester uh, passed away a few years ago, and we miss him dearly. Um, Love the guy to death. He was like a brother to me. Um, I know there's quite a few people in the community that can say the same thing, and I think that speaks to the soul that the man had. Uh, that he touched so many lives. But here's here's Martin's big uh, dum 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 moment where he says, "Computer, prepare crying wolf," and then beams out. And we're like, "What the hell?" And then, choom dum dum dum. We're looking all around, and I wanted to have, me in the DS9 uniform and everyone else kind of in the TNG uniform, because just like in Generations when the Enterprise D crashes, I wanted this to kind of be our moment and to kind of show like, hey, we're transitioning from the next generation era to the DS9 era, kind of like they were in Generations. Because this is the last film of the Constar right before Menard takes over the B5 station. Because again, these set of adventures are ending, and then Menard, in like the next couple films, he'll be on B5. So, and B5 is in DS9 uniform, because that's my nod to Deep Space Nine. So I felt that it was appropriate to do that transition, just like they did in Generations, ironically enough. And that's my, everyone always says, "Oh, that's just like what Riker did." And I'm like, yeah, that was my Riker moment, just like in Generations. So yes, it was a blatantly rip off or homage, as we like to say, because we don't rip things off, we give homages. um, was there an after credits? I think there is an after credits to this. I think, but yeah, this to me, I love this one because it filled out so many blanks that were needed. Um, and it finally told that story. Because everybody watched the film Crying Wolf, where Menard's walking through the decks of the Constar, and they had questions like, "What happened? How did the Constar crash? What exactly happened?" And we finally get to tell that story here, and it's a very personal story, and yet very very easy story to tell. And I've noticed that about a lot of my films. It's recaps or voiceovers, or they're easy stories to tell. I guess there's no after credits. But stories like that, told from one person's perspective, looking back at events, uh, are always my favorites, because I think real life is like that. How we all kind of look at one thing and, have a perspective, and then someone else looks at something entirely different, and it's the same event. Um, and I find stuff like that very fascinating. So, but it was nice to be able to tell and visually see the Constar crash, or at least begin to, and see. And I love seeing the red lights on the Constar, showing that, hey, we're out of order, dude. you know. Um, but I like this story. This one works on a lot of levels. So, but with that being said, if you enjoyed the film, give it a like, thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think of the film, and what you guys thought of the Constar crashing. How does it, what did you guys think when you first felt it? Did it give you any emotional impact, like when the Enterprise got blowed up, or when the Enterprise D got blowed up? Do you guys feel the same way about fan films that you do regular films? Let me know what you guys think. So, with that being said, be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.